I'm Holly. This is Colby the Crazy Poo Shop. He's my co-pilot in trying to navigate this mad world of dog-human interaction, and we'd like to bring you along for the ride. Oof! Don't get tangled on that wire. So in this series of videos, we're going to look at 10 super simple actions that I took with Colby in order to make his life just a little bit happier, and incidentally mine as well, and to increase our bond. I wish someone had sat down and said these things to me when I first adopted him. It took me far too long to figure some of them out. So hopefully this will be helpful for some of you, even if there's stuff you know, which I'm sure there will be. There might be other things that you don't know or you've not thought about in a particular way. So I hope it helps. So this first chapter is about being present. All relationships need you to give them your full attention if they're going to survive and thrive and grow. Your dog's no different. The difference with your dog is that your dog is unable to go elsewhere to get that connection if it's not coming from you. So you really do owe it to them. Let your dog know that they matter to you. Like humans, dogs are wired to be social animals, and scientific studies show that this is even more the case for dogs than it is for wolves, and it's genetically programmed into them. So connection is a genuine need that your dog has. It's not that they're being spoilt, it's not that they're being manipulative, it's that connection is something your dog needs. And there's so many studies been done into the effects of loneliness on people, and that has to be the same for any social animal. So dogs really do need your undivided attention. Now, I'm not saying you have to give your dog your constant attention. That's a different matter. You still have to live life, and your dog has to learn that sometimes it has to settle and that it can be content in its own company. But those times when you are interacting with your dog, you need to be fully present and give them your full attention. It's only fair. If you expect your dog to give you attention when you require it, it's really only polite that you reciprocate. So there are some trainers who would have you withhold attention from your dog, claiming that it's for your dog's own security and good. I don't agree with routinely withholding attention from your dog. I don't think it's helpful to make people feel guilty for giving their dogs attention and for loving their dogs and spending time with their dogs. We're programmed to find them appealing. This is scientific fact. We're social creatures, they're social creatures. I don't think that routinely withholding attention from your dog is a helpful thing to do. The thing that's often touted is that you should only give your dog attention on your own terms and not on their terms, because it shows them who's the boss. Well, quite frankly, that's a load of rubbish. Pack hierarchy theory has been thoroughly debunked, including by one of the original perpetrators, is that the right word? One of the original proponents of the idea of pack hierarchy theory, which was basically based on observing wolves in captivity. Wolves are not dogs. There are some serious differences between wolves and dogs. The wolves that they observed were not an established pack. They were just random wolves from different situations. They threw food into the mix, and what they actually recorded was resource guarding, and nothing to do with pack hierarchy, alpha males, or any of that. It's a load of rubbish. So I don't agree in routinely withholding attention and affection and focus from your dog. I don't think it does. I don't think it serves any useful function. My experience has been that secure attachment breeds security, and then the dog is far more able to be independent because they don't enter into that scarcity mindset of that insecurity of having to check in with you. So secure attachment breeds security and confidence in the dog, just like with children. So that if you habitually ignore your dog, they can actually reach a state of learned helplessness where they think there's no point trying this anymore. And they will actually stop asking for attention because they think there's no point. And this can lead to more advanced problems, such as the dog becoming depressed or hopeless, or the dog acting out with behaviours that will gain attention in other ways. So I would never recommend you to ignore your dog, although I'm sure Colby would tell you that I don't give him anywhere near enough attention. So by training your attention on your dog more regularly, you're more likely to notice desirable behaviours, like when the dog settles. What happens so often is if the dog's barking at something or chewing something or doing something else we don't want them to do, we tell them off, we notice that, we step in, we're like, oh, this is the problem, I need to intervene. But when our dog is being quiet, is being settled, is being calm, we tend to just ignore that. Whereas if our attention is more on our dog, if we're more aware of what our dog's doing, we can notice those times when they're doing things that we'd like them to be doing, and then we can reinforce that behaviour. And if you're not doing that, you're really missing a trick, because that's much more powerful than trying to stop a behaviour in its tracks that you don't want to happen. The more you observe your dog, which you can only do if you're fully present, the better you'll come to understand dog communication and dog body language. And while you can learn this generally for dogs, oi, can you not? Thank you. Am I not giving you enough attention? Do you want to come back up? You're just going to gaze at me. Okay. So, while a lot of dog communication's universal-ish, your dog is going to have their own quirks because of the way they're built, personality-wise and physicality-wise. So you can get to know what your dog looks like when it's relaxed, what your dog looks like when it's excited, all the different quirks and colours of your dog's behaviour. Another brilliant thing about being present with your dog, and I talked about this a little bit in the last video, was oxytocin. Oxytocin is the love hormone, and dogs are one of the very few creatures who actually seek direct eye contact with human beings. And when that happens, and when you are giving attention to your dog, when your dog is giving attention to you, oxytocin is released, which is a very potent brain chemical. It's known as the love hormone or the love chemical. I'm not a neurologist, can you tell? And it's the same chemical that's released to help parents bond with newborn children, and that couples experience when they first fall in love. So it really helps with the bonding process, and it's just really lovely. So another point to make about attention, and that is that attention and affection are not interchangeable. They're not the same thing. So while affection is one form of attention, it's not quite what I'm talking about here. Yes, affection's a form of attention, but it's only one form. So I'm talking more about presence and engagement with your dog. So although affection's one way of doing this, your strokes, your cuddles, your snuggles, you're chilling out together. Hi, Colby. What I really mean is other forms of attention, such as being present on walks, so that you're experiencing that together, playing games, training sessions, even grooming, health checks, feeding, that sort of care can all be forms of attention. Now, because dogs are social animals, ideally they should not be left alone for more than 4 hours per day at a time. Colby's got challenges in this regard. Although I've had him for nearly 2 years now, he's never actually been left home alone. I've always either had someone in to watch him, or he's gone to doggy daycare, which he absolutely loves. But we're really going to have to start working on this. But When I first adopted Colby, he was part of a busy 5-dog household. So the amount of attention that he was getting wasn't as much as I think he could have used. And when I adopted him, they did say, oh, he would probably be best as part of a 1-dog household because of this. Now, when I first adopted him, he was like my shadow. He would follow me around from room to room. I couldn't even go to the bathroom in privacy. Just getting up to make a cup of tea, he'd be there at my side. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Now, some people would say that the way to teach him to be independent would be to take a step back and withdraw. But I sort of followed my gut of what I'd experienced as a parent with this, and I decided to ignore that. I decided to ignore that advice. Because I've been consistent in the attention that I give him every day, there's no longer that scarcity mindset about having that attention. And so he's a lot more relaxed now. So 9 times out of 10 now, if he's settled on the sofa, he'll just stay there and he won't follow me because he doesn't have that sort of insecurity, because I've given him my attention, which has given him that secure attachment. A loose schedule has really helped with this. So, for example, my husband tends to go for a run in the morning, and then a little bit later, after he's set off, I'll take Colby and meet my husband in the park, and we'll have a little walk. Because Colby has now come to expect that that's what's going to happen, when my husband leaves the house for his run, Colby knows the routine. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what to expect. And so he's not anxious about my husband leaving. He doesn't even really acknowledge it at all now. So I think that we have made positive progress, and we're going to start work now on having him home alone on his own sometimes, little by little. And I'm hoping to document that process and share it with you, and hopefully you'll find that interesting or useful. And I'd certainly appreciate any input that other people have had in negotiating this sort of situation. So we'll see how that goes. Now, there are times that Colby does get quite demanding if he's bored, and this tends to happen in the evening. I know a lot of people tend to find that their dogs get a bit restless or zoomified in the evenings, which is partly due to dogs being crepuscular, which means that they are more active during dusk periods, so in the morning and in the evenings. He might do a bit of barking for treats or he might want some sort of activity. So if he's badgering me, I tend to give him some calming enrichment to try and settle him and encourage his independence. But what I don't do is ignore him, and what I don't do is withdraw my affection from him. So yeah, be present. I think that is the first, most fundamental thing that we can do to help our dogs be just a little bit happier. And if our dogs are being just a little bit happier, then we're doing our jobs as dog parents. I know it seems majorly obvious and straightforward and simple, but as we know, life generally isn't, and it's much harder to put this into practice. Life with our dogs does not exist in a vacuum. The world is a messy and complicated place, and we have to take that into account as well. I could certainly use this timely reminder. And if you're interested in finding out the 9 other super simple actions that I would recommend to enhance your dog's happiness, then don't forget to click and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one, where we're going to talk about the value of slowing down and what that looks like in operation. Hope to see you soon. Bye. Colby, what are you eating? Can you not take rubbish out of the bin, please? You're making me look like a bad dog parent in front of people, and it's embarrassing.